Hi, my name is Kevin England. I'm the CEO President of Vonazon. Vonazon is a full-service digital marketing agency. And welcome back to Ask Away Wednesday, where we answer questions that are posed to us through social media. The question that I was asked through social media is, how do I build a successful email marketing strategy? So let's first of all define a little bit about an email marketing strategy, which essentially it's a foundation of an overall approach to an outbound marketing campaign or message. It's an incredibly important part of your business digital marketing strategy and can return a great return on investment for your business. So an email marketing strategy takes into consideration the following: your target customer, the preferences or benefits that maybe that customer is looking for, and it also highlights some of your products, services, and offerings to that potential customer or lead. I'm also told that I need to reintroduce myself, so I'm going to do that again. My name again is Kevin England. I'm the CEO President of Vonazon, and today we're talking about how to build a successful email marketing strategy. So when you're developing an email marketing strategy, it's important to think through your goal, strategy, and approach. And I pretty much talk to my team all the time about goal, strategy, and approach, and I'll kind of define those for you a little bit further. The goal is really the intended purpose of the campaign. For example, what do you want the email recipient to do when they receive your outbound marketing campaign? Your strategy is the planning and implementation necessary to achieve that goal. For example, what needs to be accomplished to facilitate the completion of your overall objective or goal. And then the approach is the way your campaign is designed, more or less from like an aesthetic point of view. What are the deliverables that you're going to provide as part of that campaign? For example, is it going to be a series of graphically based emails? Is it going to be some text-based emails? What will they look like? That's all part of that approach. And now that we've really identified what's in that email marketing strategy, let's start with the basics. And the first thing I'm going to start with is the buyer persona. And if you know me, I focus very heavily on who that buyer persona is. And that buyer persona is that semi-fictional representation of your target buyer. It's used for effective segmentation. And essentially, you're going to want to target specific groups of leads or contacts. And your buyer persona can be defined by outlining similarities and differences between those different targets. For example, what is the industry that they might be associated to? What are some of the pain points or challenges associated to that individual buyer? And what different products and services might necessarily best fit their needs? And that's all part of developing out that buyer persona initially. And then the next step in this process is to really understand your buyer's journey from the customer's perspective. And the buyer's journey is that direct representation of your client's buying process and life cycle. It is used to really understand how a lead or contact needs to consume different types of content or information as they move down the path to eventually make a purchase from your business. A simple iteration of a buyer's journey would start with disruption, pain point, or challenge, and then go through awareness, interest, and consideration, and then eventually across the finish line to decision. Our job as marketers is to focus on the three center areas: the awareness, interest, and consideration. And I'll go into each one of those in detail. So awareness is that initial stage of where a potential customer is introduced into who you are as a company and educated based on who you are and what you do. It also is a great spot or place to basically talk about some of the pain points and challenges and then how you solve some of those pain points and challenges. The next step is the interest stage. And the interest stage is where you focus more on your specific types of products and services and provide that type of detailed information. And then that third stage is that consideration stage. This is where your potential customer is weighing out the decision to either buy from you or potentially to buy from a competitor. If you're able to address each stage of the buyer's journey from the perspective of the buyer's persona, you will be more effective in developing out a successful email marketing campaign. All right, so from here, let's go into the next step. That's kind of a perfect segue into the next step of this process, which is the development of content. Now, that's a pretty simple concept in and of itself, but you'll need to think through a couple different things. The development of the emails, the landing pages that potentially might be associated to it, forms associated, calls to action, or maybe even some downloadable assets associated to each buyer persona as they traverse through their buyer's journey, utilizing and thinking about that awareness, interest, and consideration portion of that process. The more specific and granular that you can get, the better you're going to be and the more successful that you're going to be in that process. So once you've developed out all of your content, it's time to outline your engagement path. And that's essentially a visual flowchart that has the details of how one marketing asset might connect to another marketing asset. And I'm very visual, so I ask my team to do that on a regular basis to get me a better understanding of what this campaign is going to look like from beginning to end. Now, for example, you might want to understand how an email links to a landing page, the landing page linking to the downloadable assets, or maybe even redirecting to different parts of your website. And that's all part of the process that you need to develop out. By mapping this as a successful part, by mapping this makes it a very successful part of this strategy, and also can allow you to visualize and solidify your complete email marketing campaign or strategy. And in that process of creating this visual representation, you will be able to identify the potential gaps that are in your process and facilitate a better solution. So once the final steps of solidifying this process, it's now you need to create your timeline. And our usual goal is to try to speed up the sales cycle. But if you speed up this process, you might not necessarily speed up the sales cycle. So you have to think about how you're delivering this information in the terms of your sales cycle. So have a great conversation with your sales team to better understand what that sales cycle looks like. And if that sales cycle is in a matter of days, then you're creating a campaign that goes over a period of days. If your sales cycle is in a matter of months or even years, your email marketing campaign could last over, could become bi-weekly, it could become monthly. So you have to think of it in terms of, how long you want to be able to develop it out based on your sales cycle. Finally, it's time to launch. Now, this is the exciting time because once you launch, you get all the great analytics, you see all the click-through rates and the information. You want to review the matrix associated to that, but don't stop at just the open rates and click-through rates. You want to be able to also look at the form fills, the number of downloads associated to some of the assets that you've created. Was there an increase to your website? The number of actual responses that you might have elicited from your text-based emails. Sales conversations, talk to your sales team. Did they see marketing qualified leads turn into sales qualified leads? And then how many opportunities actually could have been closed or were closed from the campaign that you developed out? So there's lots of metrics that you want to look at as you kind of close through this process. And last but not least, start planning your next campaign. Don't stop. Don't let your marketing become stale or stagnant. Keep things alive, keep things exciting, keep things moving forward. And don't create a huge lapse between multiple campaigns. So think in mind of developing out numerous marketing strategies as you move through this process, and think about the different types of strategies that you could potentially implement, such as prospecting campaigns or lead nurture campaigns or drip marketing campaigns or re-engagement campaigns, and the list can go on and on. So as you think through this approach, make sure that you're coming up with some great ideas on the next campaign. And each campaign could be slightly different, but you have to make sure that your overall strategy should deliver consistent, measurable results for your organization. Things like, again, as I talk about, increased number of website visitors, form submissions, direct email replies, or, of course, closed opportunities. So that basically gives you a detailed information on how you should define your email marketing strategy. So I have a couple of questions that have been posed to me from the team. One of the questions was, in your experience, what's better, graphical or text-based emails? So when I look at that, we internally use a kind of a hybrid approach to that process. So when I look at that, I think, all right, well, who first is your buyer persona? Who are you targeting? Once you understand that a little better, you can kind of define, is text or email or text or graphical a better approach for this type of individual. Being that we use a hybrid approach, usually our awareness and interest campaigns are much more graphical because they elicit a click-through to some type of downloadable asset or to a call to action. Where text-based type emails will usually generate a response from the individual who received the information back to either your sales or marketing teams. So there's really no specific answer to that, except for that in my opinion, you want to use both graphical as well as text-based, interchange them together. So basically that's pretty much all the information that I have right now, and all the questions that have been answered or asked of me. So come back next Wednesday. We look forward to seeing you again. Thank you very much.